All right. Liz Holguin, welcome to the Tiger Den.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. We've been friends now for a couple years. I met you on the Roofer Roadshow, and I knew about you in the roofing industry, but having met you and kind of seeing how you operate, it's been impressive to watch you work. I don't know a ton of women in the roofing industry. There's just so few of you. And I feel like as a business owner, you've done so well in not just being a woman in the roofing industry, but being a professional and being like, your stuff. Like Liz knows. So tell me this, Liz, let's go back to that time when you started your company. Like, I think correct me if I'm wrong here, but you started in the roofing industry in a different sector and then found this problem and then kind of broke into what you do now. Is that kind of right?
Yeah. I started off in the technology side of the industry, and was there in the trenches with the contractors trying to figure out how to systematize their business. And this is back when there was like nothing other than like Eagle View measurements and like that was it, and hand measuring. So I started in 2015. I know a lot of people look at me like, you're so young. Well, I started when I was 18.
Oh, wow. So you're 28 now. Wow. Good for you, Liz.
Yeah.
So what was the moment where you were like, this is the direction I want to take my company and actually help roofers? You started in 2015. When did you start Business411?
Yeah, I started Business411 in 2019. I've always been an entrepreneur and I've had different businesses throughout my life. My first business I launched when I was 15 years old.
Wow.
So I've always had a company going. But at that time I was actually just doing like wedding planning and events and things like that, and hair and makeup while I was working at iRoofing. And one thing that I realized, and I even took a short break out of the roofing industry to focus on that business, and it was going well. But roofing was just something that was so interesting to me in the construction industry and working with business owners that I just kept coming back to it. Not that, weddings and events aren't awesome. It just wasn't my long-term vision.
Yeah.
I think after like the 1,000 contractor of offering me a job,
You're like, there's something here.
I think I would take a couple of freelance gigs and see where this goes.
So what was the problem you discovered in talking to contractors where it was like a paradigm shift for you, where you're like, this is what I want to focus on? Was there a moment where you were like, this is it?
Yeah. So years into it, so on my 4th year of trying to implement technology into roofers' businesses, I start to, become more aware of what the issue was and why they were struggling with implementing technology. And it was just lack of structure, lack of having a vision of how things should go. And a lot of people that I spoke with and got the opportunity to learn from had just become successful from winging it. So after seeing people just become successful winging it and then trying to figure it out on the back end, and then they're struggling and they're having me come in and give them advice on how to get organized, I was like, okay, this is everyone. This was like, you're talking a guy who had been in 3rd generation, 2nd generation, 20 years in business, just started, all had the same exact problem.
I think, so I've heard that women's brains are like spaghetti noodles. Have you heard about this?
No, I have not.
Okay, so women's brains are like spaghetti noodles and men's brains are like ice cube trays.
Okay.
So we think in pockets that are unrelated to one another, and women can tie information together very like emotionally and with like connection of certain points and why they matter. So as a woman in the roofing industry, like you were probably seeing a bunch of problems and then it all came back to like a connection point where you're like, they need organization, structure, branding, these things that I can provide and help these contractors. Is that kind of accurate?
Yeah, the funny part I will say of like my aha moment is like after the 10th wife who has jumped on the phone and she's like, I really don't know what he's doing. He's so unorganized. I don't really know anything about roofing, but I'm trying to help him. So like so many wives they're just like, this guy's a mess. He's making money, but I don't think he knows when he's supposed to pay what or like what's actually happening on the back end. And so after that moment, I was like, okay, like, I think there's a gap here even with men not knowing how to organize and trying to find, honestly, women to fill those roles or someone to help them with the admin side. And then the admins coming in and they're like, I also don't know anything about roofing. I don't know this. I don't know that. So that's where I was able to bridge the gap, like between organization and industry knowledge.
And so the problem you're truly trying to solve, in short, because I've worked with your team now, and your team was amazing, by the way, with creating our magazine. You have very talented developers and people who put stuff, like the actual pictures and the layout of the magazine was incredible. But just the way in which you guys work was very organized. So I feel like you talk the talk and you walk the walk, because you guys are organized and very, very fast. And so that was something that I noticed in working with you guys that I was impressed with, that you guys not only are organizing roofing companies, but you yourselves are pretty organized.
We manage a lot of volume. I would like 100% of my jobs to be perfect, but we have like sometimes 3,000 orders per year. So wow. Imagine if you were doing 3,000 roofs in a year. It's insane. And we're just stepping into our 5th year. Wow. Tomorrow's actually 411 day. It's our 4th one. So we're celebrating, 411 on 411. But yes, it's been crazy, because when I started, it was just me thinking I was going to do some freelance side consulting gigs to, managing a team of 35 employees and thousands of clients. Like it's a different ball game now. That
is a different ball game. Now, breaking in the personal side, you just had a baby not too long ago.
Mm-hmm.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Has that been a difficult point for you to have a child and also run the company of growing so fast?
Yeah. So what's interesting is when I got pregnant, I was like totally hands off. Like I would come in and teach the class every 3 months, but I already had the right people in the right seats and I was able to be super hands off. I had even said earlier in the year, like I retired from consulting, just to focus on my business. Like it was a very, very different moment in my life. And then throughout the pregnancy, you know how it is with your company. Sometimes you have these massive goals and you realize like, I got to push more now in this season. So it's funny because I just had the baby. When I got pregnant, I thought I'm just going to be hands off coming in, every so often, making sure everything's going well. But I've fully dove back in to my business and I'm like working just as hard as I was in the beginning. And so obviously more strategic now and I have more people. But yeah, it's like, I can't believe it. When I got pregnant, I did not think I was going to be working this much. But it's not because I have to, it's because I really want to. I want to get to that next level.
What is the next level for you?
Yeah, so our goal is I want to impact at least 100,000 construction companies with education, with being able to create a positive movement in the industry as a whole. And our ultimate goal is to change the way that contractors are seen today. I want people to be proud to say, hey, I'm in roofing, I'm in construction, and for it to be seen as a respected trade. Whereas now when I say I'm in roofing, people look at me like I have two heads.
Yeah. What's the top 3 things, Liz, if you could think about the things that set contractors apart from the pack? We all know that there's a high failure rate in the industry. What are the 3 things that people have that are sustainable that the companies that failed don't have?
I would say the biggest definer in the success that I've seen, regardless of everything else they have going on, is vision. The most successful contractors that I've worked with, it looks very different one from the other, but they all share that vision. They all have drive. So they all want something greater than themselves, and they're willing to do anything to get there. Obviously, the ethical ones within ethics and maintaining their morals. But that vision, the drive, and I would say the last key component is something that differentiates them. There's something different about them. Either it's a specific type of roofing system, either they're really good at specialty roofing, or they have their brand that really sets them apart. Sometimes it's their knowledge or even their previous network. So there's a big differentiator. They have the vision and they have the drive to get there. And I would say that goes beyond just construction. I think all successful business owners, when you look at them, it really just boils down to those three things.
Yeah. It's been an eye opener for me to break into, because I wasn't an entrepreneur before. I have an entrepreneurial journey. I started this company 5 years ago, and this is my first company I've ever started.
Good luck. You hit the jackpot on the first one.
You know what? I had a lot of good training, a lot of good mentors, a lot of good people who taught me many things in the construction space before I started. But once I got in and I saw people building massively successful companies and I met them in person, it was an eye opener for me, because I was like, I think I could do that. It became real to me that I was like, these people are not some genius people. They just focus and they have a vision, like you said, and they rally people around a vision and have specific jobs for each person. And everybody's on the same team that runs towards the same goal. It really is as simple as that. And I do believe that people are the game changer of a company. That if I were to give Roof Tiger the idea to a less organized contractor, I think it would have failed. But the people that you have are everything. That's what I see, is like people change organizations and they make the actual waves in the industry.
And people want to be tied into someone that has the vision. I have all of my integrators, my business partners, Ariel and Kelly. The way I was able to bring them on to help me build out the organization is I had to have a vision for them that was greater than just me. It was greater than just a couple of employees. And, I couldn't have asked for better business partners. They've truly just helped us go to the next level. So what started off as just me, 100%, I'm right there with you, is the team. But that team needs those key factors to really build that foundation on.
100%. Let's talk about the big no-nos, the things that you say, like, do not do this. If you're just starting out, maybe a year or two in, what's a big aha moment, red flag, do not do this?
Yeah. Oh my God. So I can tell you so many of them. I'm going to try to think of the best ones. I'll go by department. So sales oriented, sometimes I'll have a contractor who has a lot of good experience and I'll be like, I want to bring on a sales manager. And I'm like, okay, do you know what your sales manager is going to do? No, I'm just going to hire them. I'm going to give them this amount. They're fantastic. They're amazing. They're a top performer and they're just going to come in and magically fix everything for them. And that's not realistic. Anyone who has the capacity to truly do that is just going to do it on their own. Let's say 1 in 100 times you might get lucky and that might actually occur the way they think. But for the most part, if you're going to bring on someone to manage sales, there needs to already be a structure and a plan laid out for them to execute on. So that's one of the issues I would say. Another one is just not implementing the technology and the systems that are available for them to use today. I don't recommend doing things the hard way. There's a reason why technology exists. Become a tech savvy contractor, because that's the operations hub of your business is going to be technology.
Which technology would you say is not the company per se, but what's the most important piece of technology you say that people have to implement right away?
Anything that's going to give them reporting and data, which would primarily be their CRM. Unfortunately, a lot of CRMs are kind of outdated, but you want an accurate view of your job profits on every single job. You don't just want something that you estimated in the beginning. You want to maintain that margin throughout the production process and have an accurate view of that. And then you also want to just, more than anything, it's finances, because that's where the issues happen, the break points in the business when you're stretched too thin in certain areas of your operations. So anything that can give you the real live data on where you're at financially, where your CRM is in revenue, how much money you have tied up in your pipeline, where's your accounts receivable at. So I'm not going to go too into a tangent. You tell me where you want me to touch on.
No, you're good.
Because if not, we can.
Finances kill businesses faster than anything. Not having cash flow, not having the proper. I mean, even my first year doing taxes, I didn't have a CFO at the time, and I was like, I had no idea what I was doing. Right.
Yeah.
And so, it's just one of those things you have to figure out by doing. And it's first tax season is brutal. You can prepare. The second year was okay, but now in year 5, we were dialed in. We knew what to expect for taxes. We were doing prep in Q2, Q3 for taxes for the following year. Like it really is a long-term quarter by quarter planning basis. And you have to understand, like as an entrepreneur, you jump into the business, you're like, oh, this is great. I'll just sell some jobs, make some money. It'll be fantastic. And then you find out you have these large knowledge gaps of what you need to know to be successful. And oftentimes you don't know where to turn to find out that knowledge. So what you do is you suffer. You just bite the bullet and you find out by not executing to the fullest potential. So it's totally a balance of learning. I don't think also, Liz, maybe you can give some insight into this. I don't think it's reasonable expectation to learn everything on some webinar to know how to run a business. Most of the knowledge you're going to get comes by doing, and you are going to make mistakes. So a lot of it is just giving yourself grace to take those mistakes, those knocks on the chin. I know contractors out there, if you've heard of people paying people without insurance and getting insurance audits, it's brutal. Not having your taxes in order, not having your materials dialed in, or returning materials back to the warehouse, or keeping track of those things. Like those things can bury you. So yeah.
There's even things like, for example, misclassifying employees is the next one that's really going to start getting people. This is something that's going to really happen within the next 2 years, more and more. I've already had many contractors reach out with issues with audits that they've had, and having people listed as 1099 that are actually W-2 employees, and now they are paying people to be a whistleblower. So it's not just having a good view of what's happening today. It's also like things change so rapidly that's the other place you don't want to get caught behind, is what's the evolving issues within the industries, what is happening on the insurance side, what's happening with the Department of Labor, even what's happening in such things that are kind of controversial, such as, immigration and that labor force. So it's just being an educated individual within our industry and seeing how things evolve, because what applied last year doesn't even apply this year for some people. Even in Florida, our laws are changing tremendously almost every year. So, and whatever we see happening in Florida when it comes to insurance companies, when it comes to these different topics, it's gonna happen across the country. So just making sure you're on top of what's happening in the industry. And I'll just add one more thing in regards to this topic is, I agree, you can't learn everything off of one webinar, but there's one thing that has allowed me to shortcut my way to success. You're either going to pay it in time or you're going to pay it in money.
True.
And so one thing that I've done is become very self-educated. So I've gone to seminars on taxes. I've gone to seminars on that are not even roofing industry specific, just different types of business seminars. Some have been great, some have sucked. Whatever, it's the price you pay to figure out what you don't know. So that has helped me have more knowledge and experience than I could ever think I would have had by now. So I would have taken a lot longer to build the business that I have if I didn't try to find that information.
Totally agreed. And also, I will say this. Information is you can find any piece of information on the internet. You can find anything if you dive deep enough into the rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm.
When I consult with other companies and when I talk to other entrepreneurs, even in casual conversations, this will bring something in your head too. It drives me nuts, Liz, when contractors are educated and do nothing about what they learned. That is so pervasive, where they're like, oh, this is great. Yeah. How are you going to implement this in your business? And I feel like 5 out of 100 people will actually take information and do something about it. The rest of the 95 will be like, that was a good seminar. That was a good webinar. That was good information. I'm going to say the same. And it pains me when I watch that.
I say that in the class. I'm like, look, it doesn't matter if some of you guys are in the same market. Out of this room of people, if there's 50 people here, 2 of you might implement this information 50%. And only 1 of you is going to take it all the way. And what's crazy is the contractors that are smaller there are the ones who take the most time to put that information to their business, which it would be the easiest for them to do because they're still starting out.
Sure.
And the big contractors who are typically doing anywhere between 15 to 25 million that are in that same class, they're the ones who take that information and on the spot, they're like, I'm coming to the next one. They bring another manager. So they're like moving more rapidly and have that momentum continuing to build, which is why their revenue is at a different point. So even the same exact class, you can see the type of person who implements quickly and builds momentum, and then the person who kind of sits back and thinks, well, maybe I learned one thing here. You get me? So it's just a difference in mindset as well.
I do. What's the future look like for Business 411 in terms of how your revenue is structured? Are you guys mostly focused on magazines and organization and classes, or do you see a changing point of where you're going to move into with the future?
Yeah. So I have two companies. One is Marketing 411 and I have Business 411. So they're two different businesses. Business 411, our focus is education. We are releasing some new programs coming up this year. We're taking the same concepts of education and giving contractors white label onboarding materials, but improving that process and turning it into learning portals for them. And that's going to be something super exciting that we're releasing in May at our 411 class specifically. So imagine everything it is that our manuals do. You'll have a portal you log in that says Tiger Roofing. You'll have your HR onboarding, your custom videos. You're going to be able to take our templates, change the information, like fully just made your life 100 times easier. And then on Marketing 411, we're continuing to help contractors market, digital marketing and direct. That's where the magazines come in. But the biggest change is in 2025, we're no longer doing one-off orders. We're only working with contractors on an annual basis, just because we want to focus on like the top 200 roofers and helping get them to the next level, the top 200 other type of trade, and just organize like that. So as a whole, what that means for us is we want to work with the best of the best in the industry on growing their businesses. And, we're in the perfect positioning to take advantage of a lot of great opportunity out there, such as, all of the platforming experiences that are happening, buying and selling businesses. It's the ecosystem that we've created is perfect for that.
That's amazing. Are you working with private equity firms and with venture capital to help out their book of business organize these types of things?
So what's funny is we've been approached by so many large groups and trying to get into our database, but I believe in doing my due diligence. I haven't found someone that I really aligned with, and I've met with several companies. We're talking about over a dozen different firms.
Wow.
When I do find someone to partner with, I'm going to definitely send them out to all my contractors. But as of right now, I believe in doing my homework, and really figuring out what's the goal of each platform, because there's even one group specifically that they are selling these contractors this dream. And then when I'm looking through the deal, the contractor should have not even signed that deal. So I never want to promote something like that to my community.
Totally. Yeah. The PE market shift is real. Every contractor worth their salt is I have a good friend in PE, and they are scooping up roofing contractors left and right. And the deals are only going to get more and more pervasive. It's going to be happening more and more frequently because they want to roll up these companies and create massive competition against the smaller guy. I see the market shifting into larger companies being really owning the market and the smaller guys just falling off. If you can't keep up, if you're not doing 30 roofs a year, if you're not doing 50 roofs a year, which the average, Liz, I looked up is about 30 roofs for an average roofing company. So if you're not keeping pace with the average or doing more than, it's going to be hard to compete because they'll just drown you with marketing dollars and with brand, and you will be not thought of when the customer comes to purchase a roof, which happens only once a decade, right?
Think about what happened in the auto industry, right? You used to have all of these dealerships out there, and it's all gotten consolidated into the top brands where if you really want to be in the auto game, you have to own a dealership of that brand. So
Yes.
it is, I totally agree with you there. I think there will still be the same people who, like in the auto industry, looked for that buy here, pay here type. But what that type of customer doesn't qualify to go and work with a dealership necessarily. And then you have obviously your cash buyers in that market. So I think if we look across industries, you can always see some trends that are going to occur and predict the future, just like in anything. But I think the biggest thing for contractors today is figuring out the vision of where they want to be. And not necessarily, I don't want to, promote a scarcity mindset. I like to promote more of an abundance mindset and look for the opportunity that there is. If there is the opportunity for them to step into a platform or work with a PE firm that they really align with, it's great for them to take advantage of that. But
Agreed.
at the same time, the opportunity in the market is for those mid-sized roofing companies, like you're saying, not too small where they're getting crushed, but big enough that they can have competitive pricing, a more unique boutique experience, focused on a specific type of customer, and fill in that gap for the type of client who's looking for value and looking for a more personalized approach. So there's always going to be opportunity somewhere.
Yes, I 100% agree. Yeah. It's going to be interesting. I think the most interesting marker is going to be when the boomers retire.
Yeah.
At large. I just heard a stat that's kind of mind blowing. I think the average plumber in the United States is like in their 50s. It's like 56 years old or something. That's the average.
Yeah.
So we don't have this young generation stepping into plumbing. And so when those people retire, what the heck is the market going to look like? These companies have to exist because people need their services, but it's like, it's going to be interesting because I think the bigger companies will purchase the smaller ones and then backfeed and take the work. It's going to be in 10 years, the construction industry at large will be very fascinating to watch.
Yeah, I would love to think my role in 10 years from now will be having a trade school of some type and helping shape that next labor force. I'm not 100% sure what that looks like today, but I do know that I will be in some way, shape, or form contributing to that new workforce. And that's something that I believe in 100% that this next generation needs to understand the value in construction and the trades. But as of right now, it didn't help that when you were in school, they told you, you're good in school or you're going to become a roofer. And like, if you tell an entire generation that, hey, it's bad to be in the trades, hey, it's bad to do construction, hey, you're a loser if you're doing this, what do you think is going to happen? Do you think they're going to want to do those jobs? No, they're going to do what you wanted them to do. Hey, go to school, or hey, do this and make sure that you never end up in construction.
Yeah. Do you use ChatGPT or any AI models?
Yeah, I absolutely do. I love ChatGPT. I have the premium version that I trained to assist me with different projects and things I work on. I was able to fire like 2 employees just with my ChatGPT. I know.
I hate to laugh because that's a sad thing to fire people. It's terrible, but that's my whole point in saying, like, ChatGPT, it's only going to get more advanced. I was showing Monica some things last night that I was doing with my phone, and I was like, you can just talk to it like a normal person, and it responds like a normal person, and you can have conversations, and it trains and it remembers your conversations, and that will only be so much more advanced in 5 years. I mean, give it 2 years. So like the computer work that we're paying high dollar salaries for, that will be less and less. And the people that are doing things with their hands and actually doing the work will be more and more. It's going to have to be that way until robots become the advent. So, man, I'm nervous. I'm excited. I'm a part of the wave of having ChatGPT help me. I used to have to go to Fiverr to pay people to do things for me when ChatGPT can knock it out in 60 seconds. It's just an amazing time we're living in right now to experience this firsthand.
Yeah, and I saw that, back in 2015 when I was first stepping into the construction industry, I was part of that first CRM waves, first measurement tools. I was part of that. And so I would be cold calling these roofers, and they're like, I hand measure my roofs. I got more of that than anything else at that point in time. Obviously now people have QR codes and are getting instant quotes using different tools like Roofar and other competitors that they have. But as far as what the next trend is, I can tell you that AI is going to be a big part of it. And that's why I'm already leveraging it as it is, because I never want to be behind. I want to be ahead. I want to predict what's next and find my way there.
Yes. Is that how you got connected to Roofer? Because that's the reason I bring that up, is that's how we met at a roofer, event. And I didn't know you from your online presence. And one of the first things you said to me after I got off stage, because I was talking about brand and making sure to be visible in your marketplace. And you're like, that's a perfect segue for what I do, which is actually carrying out these things for you. So, but how did you get connected to Roofer in the first place?
Yeah, so they were the second tool that kind of got introduced when I used to work at iRoofing. And I remember when I was at iRoofing, everyone was kind of like nervous when they saw a roofer come up. And their business model was a little bit different when they first got into the industry than what they're doing today. They were more of a lead generation tool, whereas now they've really, really focused on becoming a measurement tool, and now CRM and evolving those different tools is amazing software. We're huge Roofar fans. But the way I ended up getting connected is they've seen, when I was there, the very first trade show they ever showed up at, demoing iRoofing, and they're like, I remember at that time, a couple of their sales reps used to like follow me and try to see what I was doing. And because at that time, I was the only one like live streaming on Facebook. It's crazy. If you would have gone back to 2015, it was like literally no one used live stream on Facebook. Very few people posted in the groups. It was a different world in the roofing industry to now 2025. You have so much communication and knowledge and education out there. But I got connected to Roofer.
Yes. We started using their tool back in early 2020. We found an alternate to one of the major measuring softwares. And I just found their friendly approach to business and how they were trying to train people and talk to people and how accessible they were was very attractive. Because in the beginning, what's that?
Richie is awesome.
Richie's amazing. And their whole team is amazing. I mean, I can go down the list, but the just how accessible they were to the roofing industry of a young entrepreneur trying to learn things. Like they were so interested in having me be successful, and their tools were so affordable that I was like, this is a perfect match. Mm-hmm. And so I've just really supported them since day one, and I'm happy to have them sponsor this podcast. And like Richie and Nick and Pete and Matt and all of them. Kate, you know Kate?
I haven't met Kate, but I met everybody else that you just said. Especially, I really like hearing Pete speak. Because I feel like he and I speak that same like operations language in roofing, and so I love his talks.
Yes, Pete is he and I talked down in South Carolina for like 2 hours after our talk. It was just him and I talking, and it was like, I love this guy. It's just funny. What we talk about in the roofing industry is the same in any business. Is that if you can create relationships with people that can move your needle or they can be advocates for you, in the long term, those relationships pay off. Mm-hmm. And it's not getting to know people specifically for money making or for something they can do for you. It's just genuinely being a friend to people is very powerful, to be an advocate for each other and having this symbiotic past business back and forth. I can help you if you help me. It's a beautiful thing when you step into it. And what I found in the roofing industry is when you get to know people, they're more than willing to give you free advice. Free advice that's 20 years ago that would have cost you $10,000 to get.
Yeah. I think some people struggle with trying to have a friendly approach to getting to know others. I'm so lucky that even when I was younger, I'd have like these older roofers. They're like, there was no other women at the trade shows. So they'd be like, what are you like, how'd you get into this? I'm like, I'm just, applied for a job and I cold call and door knock roofing companies. That's how I started off. And then they would just be like, look, this is what you need to know. This is how you need to do it. This is they taught me the industry was all the older gentlemen. And a lot of them would be like, I want my daughter to be like you. And so they would like introduce me to their kids and all of this, like, look at her, she's doing roofing. And so it was such a cool movement to be a part of early on in my career. But all I've seen is those same relationships have continued to carry me forward. But there's two things that I tell my team always is be interested.
Yes.
Like be interested in the person you're talking to and to what their issues are. This isn't, even for my sales team, it isn't just a sales call. Be interested in who they are and what they stand for. And then be interesting. Take that information, build a conversation with them, be present in a way that also allows you to show up. So for me, I've been able to just grow authentically. I haven't had to like fake it. I've been very like, if this is where I'm at, this is where I'm at. When I had, 2 employees and me and, or just when I started and Kelly and I were sharing a desk, to now, like I've always said, hey, look, this is my first office. Here's us with the desk. Hire me to fix your business. I mean, I was able to help them in a different way, but I didn't say like, hey, here's me in a Lambo that I rented for a day. I can help you with your operations. It's, hey, I'm very in tune with the roofing industry and I'm really good at organizing. If this can be of value to you, I'm happy to help.
Yes, that's so true, Liz. Being from the Midwest, like I think Florida culture and Miami culture is just different than here. I mean, it is, but Midwest, you just are what you are. We are very like understanding and friendly people. And I don't think there's a lot of like, there is some faking it to make it in the Midwest if you meet enough people. But in general, Midwest people are just, you get what you get.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that background and culture that I grew up with, because even when I was starting out and I was trying my best to like be just the most amazing marketer and the most amazing I was just trying really hard. People were not like calling me or saying like, cut that out, or like, I would get these amazing messages from people being like, hey, keep going. Congratulations. Well done. Like cheering me on. And I'm like, I'm so appreciative of that through the downs and the ups, because it's like, that culture of the roofing industry is important to be a part of. I think if you're going to start a roofing company, you have to see the larger picture of what you're in. I mean, have you been doing any ABC trips or any like, any trips from larger companies that take their people like Mexico or Jamaica or anything?
I actually have not, but I've hosted like trainings for them at their office for their teams, for like their top performers and things like that. But no, I mean, I'm going to have to talk to some suppliers, be like, hey, let's make something happen here.
It's great. But Monica and I went to our first one in 2021 in Hawaii with ABC, and it opened my eyes to the world of the roofing industry, because people are from all across the country. And it's just an amazing experience to see how people do business. And again, they share their knowledge, but seeing the larger picture helps you find your way. So for younger people, I'm like, get active on social, get active in the Facebook groups, talk to people. When people, you probably have this happen sometimes too. People would reach out to you, hey, Liz, can you help me with this or talk to me about this? Since your business is consulting, maybe it's a little bit less for you. But if a young contractor calls me and says, I have this thing, can you help me with it? I'm like, pick up the phone. I'll give you 15 minutes,
That's how I honestly was able to get started. Now it's different, because imagine you have thousands of people asking me for my time. So that's probably the thing that I miss the most. That early in the days, it was only a couple dozen people, a couple hundred. Now I have to have a team of people to even like filter some of that out, because it's so much.
Yes.
However, I do have a soft spot for the women in the industry, because they're such a minority. I try to give back and prioritize them a little bit more.
Yes.
When I'm giving away some of my time, when I'm able to do that. But oh my God, I'm lucky to be even to give myself 15 minutes nowadays.
Talk to women in the roofing industry. What do you think is the path? Because it's a very rough and gruff, it's a very male dominated industry for a reason. Roofing work is very labor intensive, and it tends to shade towards just the male archetype. Like, what would you say for women trying to find themselves in the roofing industry? What are some tips you can give them?
Yeah, I would say there's two different types of women who become successful in the industry. And I'll give you an overall persona. Someone who's a little bit more using their feminine traits, like being organized, being great at communication, being a good listener, a good student. And then you also have on the other part are more aggressive women who might be just more focused on sales and have an aggressive personality. And they are both equally successful in their own way, but figure out which kind of success you want to see out of the industry, because there's opportunity for both. When I first got into the industry, I thought that the only way I could become successful was being super aggressive. But what I've learned over the last few years is the best potential out there for me. There's already a ton of aggressive people. It's being a good communicator, being a good listener, using my gifts that I have for organization, for being detail oriented, everything that's missing in the industry. So,
Yes.
I've been able to take that aggression into other places and turn it more into my drive. So I think that's important to know as a woman, because I think as a man, you're like, okay, I'm sure that's helpful. But as a woman, like, you have no idea. You look at the outside looking in, you're like, I have to be super aggressive. I have to be super this, super. You really don't. Like, this is an industry, you're competing with men, sure. But I can tell you right now, when I'm competing with men, there's no competition, because I bring something completely different to the table. And so they need my help. So it changes the mentality. Instead of how can I compete, it's if I help all of these people, I'm going to become even more successful, and I'm going to do 10 times more than if I had an aggressive mentality to approaching my goals.
It's the spaghetti brain. You're connecting things that men are not necessarily thinking of, that people don't normally, like, maybe this is becoming more prevalent in the industry, this conversation, but people don't normally think like, I'm not getting leads from my company, I'm spending a bunch of money on my advertising, why aren't I getting leads? Like, it's not this tit for tat, right? But thinking about your brand, even as specifically your logo and your colors, that makes an impact on the human psyche of the person contacting the business. So it's like these not necessarily thought about things have to be brought to the forefront and studied and understood by the business owner to make decisions, because you might be throwing money at a problem and it won't ever solve it.
It's funny because I think when you met me, I had red hair.
Maybe so.
Yeah, so I had to change my hair color because my ads weren't doing well with red hair. Like, people just couldn't get over the fact that I had red hair for whatever reason. I swear to you.
That's wild.
So I went back to having blonde hair, and if there's the reason I keep going back to blonde, this is the color of hair that my ads perform the best.
Wow.
It is wild. Another thing was, I used to not really care. I mean, in Miami, I used to wear like tank tops all the time, and my ads would not perform well even some of my organic content with wearing a tank top. It's freaking 90 something, 100 degrees. And I'm like having to wear full blazers because that's the persona that people react well to when it comes to operations and organizations. So I had two choices: either say, well, screw it, take me as I am, or watch me as I go, which a lot of people, if you can't grow with that mindset, you have to think, how do I need to evolve even in my personal brand as a business owner to achieve my business goals? And so there's
good, Liz.
Constantly, you have to evolve your business, your personal brand. And for a roofer specifically, that might mean, how do I have to show up in my community with other professionals so that they trust me to do business with me, so that they trust me to refer me? So those are questions that I ask myself now consistently, instead of like just when people are throwing hate comments at me. It's weird. I've gotten so many hate comments over the years.
Golly. Yeah, that's pressure that I tell you what, whenever I've run Facebook ads a handful of times, and I'm about to run a TV commercial that's going to be seen many millions of times in my area. And it's me in a tiger outfit, Liz. Okay. And I'm singing a song with a guitar.
I wouldn't expect anything less.
Yes. I mean, that's just my persona anyway, but I've been working on this for 3 months now with my rep, who is he's like my coach for marketing. And he's like, I'm telling you, Ben, this is going to work. And I'm having to get over myself, Liz, because this is going to be seen by everybody that I've ever known or will know in the area. And it's a ridiculous commercial, but he's like, I'm telling you, Old Spice had, you remember this commercial? Look at me, look at your man, look down.
Yeah.
Yes. He's like, that was the number one performing ad for a decade.
Oh my goodness.
For a decade. And it was the most ridiculous commercial in the world. So you have to catch attention. And he's like, I sent him my videographer and I worked on this commercial. We sent him over a rough draft. And he said, the Lord has sent me a ideal marketing client. Like, he's like, this, I'm telling you, Ben, if you can get outside your comfort zone and be this way to the public, you're going to succeed. So, but as rambunctious I am on Facebook, it's like my friends and my network. These people are not my network. It's strangers. So I'm having to now do this, and I've been having these conversations in my head. I'm scared a little bit, but I know these are the things that press the business forward. If the outside of your comfort zone is where true success is found, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it's hard, because imagine, I've been putting myself out there like that since I was 18.
Wow.
When I did the first Facebook Live and I was measuring a roof on it, I remember these older roofers commenting and getting posted in groups and being like, look at this stupid girl, blah, blah, blah. Like, why is she measuring roof? It was crazy, the amount of hate that I got when I first started doing those things. Now everybody's like, oh, Liz, like they've obviously gotten over it. I still get some comments here and there, but it's nothing like what I used to. But even now, I still struggle with putting myself out there in other ways. Like, for example, I really rarely share my personal story and like really a lot about who I am, because I just have always kept like that guard up, like, oh, this is, let's talk about roofing. Let's not talk too much about me online. But I'm trying to open up a little bit more, and because I know that there's people out there who my story could help, and just seeing who I am. So I'm trying more and more, but it's not easy. I don't think it's fun to be like, hey, even my natural personality is introverted, but I've taught myself to be an extrovert from a young age. So I'm good being at home, sitting in silence and like not talking to anyone for a week, but I'm not going to become successful like that.
It's a jarring experience to feel like you're being judged online, and you have to get used to it, because anybody who's made it in the world has taken massive risk to do so. And in order to take risk, you have to put yourself out there. You just have to. Personal branding is so important in today's economy. And it's difficult to do when you first start hearing these comments or hear people talking about you behind your back, or like, and it's tough, but deal with it.
Or when you A/B test and like one of them was just not a good one, and you get backlash over it, and then you gotta like test something else out. It's funny. I've even heard like someone told me on one of my posts, they're like, oh, your tattoos look like stickers. You're not fooling anyone with that. Like, why would I think that I'm gonna get a sticker? Or someone will comment on one of my videos, this one is like yesterday, he goes, oh, sex sells, doesn't it? And I'm like, this is literally my business. This is a book that I wrote. Like, I'm not being hired by someone else. This is me.
Yeah. The roofing industry, if you've been to any conferences or just like talk with the people, even just like when I first started posting roofing content of like, I did like hail inspections and stuff on camera, and I would get comments from people like, this, you're not strapped, you're not tied down, this is not OSHA standards. And like, that stuff is kind of jarring when you first read it, because you feel like you have to defend yourself.
Yeah.
But then you kind of have to adopt the mentality that there's some people out there that are just going to say weird stuff, and you've got to move past it. Yeah. You've just got to let it go.
Yeah, I think for anyone watching this video, I would say don't be scared to put yourself out there. You're going to get some kind of hate and backlash online, but everything that you want for your business is on the other side of that, and everything that you want for yourself. And I believe we have a strong obligation as individuals to become the best version of us. And the best version of you is the version who chooses to overcome that fear and get over it and make an impact. So anybody who's out there, don't get discouraged by it. Just feel empowered that you're only going to become better because of it.
That's so good, Liz. Yeah. we have to look at things from a 10-year vision. We can't look at things from a 1 week, 1 day, one month vision. You have to look 10 years. And these road bumps that you go through and these challenges you have, you're not going to even remember them in 1 year. Not the specific situation. So you have to think long-term of what's going to put me in the driver's seat for my future. And oftentimes those are the difficult decisions that you don't want to make.
100%.
Almost every time. It's like the hardest decisions you have to make, firing people, putting yourself out there, personal branding, doing something different in the industry. It's uncomfortable when you first do it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, even when I first started writing manuals with my team, it was like everyone was losing their mind. I remember this lady, she goes, "You wrote a book about roofing?" And Kelly was with me in the office. We were cracking up. We're like, "This is hilarious." She said, "I don't need a book about roofing." and so, versus now where our manuals, we have over a dozen and we've helped train thousands of people. It's funny to think if we would have stopped at that point, like a book.
Yes.
And this lady was she lost her mind. She thought it was the craziest thing ever that we wrote a book to help people learn about roofing.
Yes. 100%. Well, to be respectful of your time, Liz, let's wrap this up with give some advice to somebody watching this that's either a young entrepreneur, somebody who's trying to find their way. What's the number one thing you'd say to that person?
Yeah, I think just to go back to what you said a second ago, the 10-year, me 10 years ago, and some of you might be in a different situation than what you're hearing us talk about today. But 10 years ago, I was just starting out in the industry. My biggest goal was to become the most educated person out there on roofing, to understand manufacturing, supply, installation, insurance. Like, I became a student of the industry and the trade itself. I didn't just, say, hey, I'm going to be good at selling this product. I wanted to truly understand and then understand the business model of it in different ways, how it all ties together. So because of that, it changed my life forever. And it's going to change my children's life. The rest of my family is now going to be impacted by this, by me making the decision that I wasn't just going to come in, sell some stuff, make some money, and that's it. I was going to be completely redefined by this and change it into my career where I was going to help change other people's lives. So don't lose sight of, number one, the journey. It's going to be a long journey. It's 10 years in, and I'm still got many more to go to where I really, really want to be at a global scale. And then also is, besides the journey, understand that throughout that journey, who you're going to become is truly going to change your life. And you're going to be so grateful about the hard decisions that you make every day. And then the last part I would say is make every single day a different choice that your future version of you is going to thank you for. Whether that's a sacrifice you made, something new that you learned, just continue to evolve and make those hard choices daily, because you're going to be looking back one day and just be grateful that you did it and that you put the work and you earned it.
That's good, Liz. Yeah, the fear is an inch deep and a mile wide, and our future self will thank us for walking that hard path and making those decisions. I couldn't have said it better myself. And so, Liz, I respect you. I respect your business.
Talk.
What's that?
I said, I'm motivated by our call. I'm ready to go do something.
Go do something, Liz. Go drink an energy drink and crush it. I respect you guys even more now, having worked with your business. I am an advocate for Business411 now. Not that I wasn't already, but now that I've experienced what you guys actually do, I trust you guys. And I'm very, if anybody's watching this, and I'm a brand freak. I am very, my guys know, if it has Roof Tiger or anything about my brand on it, I am so articulate and so specific on what I need. And the Business411 team knocked our magazine out of the park. I'm not exaggerating. It's so cool that we can give this to customers now. Our guys have been using it for the past several weeks, and the response we're getting from people is tremendous. So it just puts our brand in a different position than if we had not done this before. And in an age where everything's digital, having a magazine printed for your customer is powerful.
Yeah.
It's powerful. So if somebody's watching this that's considering working with Business411 or Marketing411, give them a call. You're going to understand why I say this. And Yeah, big fan of you guys.
Thank you, Ben. I appreciate our friendship. I appreciate who you are as a person. I think that to me, this industry has introduced me to some phenomenal people. And I'm very grateful that I had the opportunity to, more than anything, have you as a friend and have you in the network. Obviously, I love the opportunity to work with you on your business as well. And I'm just looking right now at your setup, looking at Roof Tiger, at Solar Panther, and Gutter Lion. I'm just so proud of you and how you continue to grow and elevate yourself. So I'm very, very appreciative of your time as well.
Thank you, Liz. Yeah, that means a lot. Go get them. Go get them. 2025 is upon us. 2026 will be here before we know it. Let's make decisions. It's going to impact 2029. All right. Love it, Liz. Thank you so much for coming on.
Awesome. Thanks.
You bet.